Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got a great show for you today. Robbie, what do we have?
Michael Starr Hopkins and Stephen Kent will join us to discuss yet another departure from Vice President Kamala Harris's office, as well as the Veep's cringe tweets amid the disaster I-95 in Virginia. And Brianna Joy Gray weighs in on Democrats' path to voting rights and abandonment of President Biden's Build Back Better plan.
And while it may be a new year, President Biden is facing the same dismal approval ratings, this time hitting a record high disapproval. According to a new CNBC Chains research poll, 56% of voters disapprove of the job he's doing, while 60% of respondents said they disapprove of Biden's handling of the economy, specifically flagging frustrations over the issue as their number one problem with the administration. 55% of those surveyed disapprove of Biden's handling on COVID. So just yesterday, the U.S. reported a record single-day number of daily COVID cases with more than 1 million new infections, according to data from Johns Hopkins University.
Oh, we're so close to controlling this thing. Biden addressed the nation yesterday in efforts to tamp down on worries about the record-breaking case numbers. Biden is doubling down on the efficacy of the vaccines against the virus. Here's what he told reporters yesterday.
We're going to see, as you all have been hearing, continued rise in cases. Omicron is very transmissible variant, but much different than anything we've seen before. But you can protect yourself. And you should protect yourself, quite frankly. Get vaccinated. Get boosted. There's plenty of booster shots. Wear a mask while you're in public. Because what we know is this. The impact from the rising cases depends on the effect on the person based on whether that person, what their vaccination status is.
He also doubled down on rhetoric, singling out those who have yet to get the jab.
So there's no excuse for anyone being unvaccinated. This continues to be a pandemic of the unvaccinated. So we got to make more progress.
Pandemic of the unvaccinated. There's a lot of vaccinated people getting it, like a lot. I don't think you can make that claim anymore. Certainly, it is the hospitalizations, the severe disease and death. We say this all the time. We say it every day. It's worth repeating every day. Yes, the vaccines perform tremendously well against the most serious ill effects of the virus. They are worth getting for that reason and that reason alone. They do not prevent you from getting COVID. Maybe they provide you some benefit, but it is no guarantee that you won't get COVID. Thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are vaccinated have gotten COVID. I was vaccinated, I've gotten COVID. Everyone I know is vaccinated, and most of them have gotten COVID in this last month, in this period. So let's retire that line. It is now patently absurd.
Right. It would be better, I think, to call it a pandemic for everyone and a crisis for the unvaccinated.
Sure.
And particularly a crisis for the unvaccinated who have a comorbidity. However, people like to focus on the number of the majority of people who get hospitalized or die with COVID have a comorbidity. But there's also that number that don't. Mm-hmm. And if you layer on vaccination on top of that, you do in fact dramatically reduce your risk of going to the hospital and reduce your risk of dying from catching even Omicron, which is milder than the other one. So I think you're right that you definitely can no longer call it a pandemic of the unvaccinated in the sense that cases are soaring among the vaccinated. But those people in general are suffering side effects that in many cases are less than the side effects that they got from the vaccine itself.
Which is its own interesting issue.
Right.
Get this vaccine to protect yourself, but the vaccine is for some people, the experience of that. I didn't have a negative experience with the vaccine. It didn't cause me any side effects whatsoever. But for some people it is worse than the virus itself. But it might have been, the virus might have been worse had they not been vaccinated, et cetera.
Right. But for vaccinated people who are catching Omicron, at least all of the people in my life, they have a day where they feel terrible.
Right.
And then over the next few days they start to feel better, which is a remarkably similar pattern to people who had gotten the vaccine. Felt like crap for a day, and then you feel better afterwards. Now, we don't know the long-term implications of either yet. Now, we do know a significant portion of people are suffering from long COVID. There's a new study out showing that partly it has something to do with the antibodies overreacting And people are talking about how great natural immunity is. Yeah, it's so great. It's also attacking your own body over the months and years to come, and hopefully that reduces. But we don't know any. We don't, because there has been no long term yet. So we can't know the long term. Anyway, Biden also announced that the federal government is doubling its order of Pfizer's antiviral pill Paxlovid, which has proven effective in preventing hospitalizations and severe illness.
The announcement comes after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis called on the federal government to allow states to directly purchase monoclonal antibodies so the state can open treatment centers to the public. According to Central Florida doctors, there's a shortage of monoclonal antibodies around the state. Just before Christmas, the Department of Health and Human Services announced a pause on the distribution. Now, NFL star Aaron Rodgers claims that while everyday citizens are being kept in the dark, the NFL is using treatments like monoclonal antibodies to treat the over 100 infected athletes, and good on him for sharing that with us, that the more elite are having better access to care right now. Yeah,
do we have that clip? Let's roll it if we do.
One, they don't talk about the fact that guys are getting better using this. People are getting better using these things. That's fine. You don't want to talk about that. But how come in a league where we're seeing 51 guys on the list yesterday,
100,
there's still zero conversation, at least publicly, around treatment options for people that test positive? I do know behind the scenes, this is 100% true. There are many teams who are using or recommending a lot of the same treatments that I got for their players.
Well, what does he mean, monoclonal antibodies, or does he mean
ivermectin?
Hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin? So yeah,
I don't know.
Dr. Rogers' opinion on the situation aside, there is a shortage. We are maybe if there's some type of use of the Defense Production Act, you could speed this up. But some of this is biologically based and can't be built.
Can always speed up approval. I know these things are now approved. We could have done it fast. We could have always approved it faster. The FDA could work weekends, overtime, a little bit, maybe. Just asking. I'm just asking. Would they consider it?
And drop the patent or license it out to dozens of other places. In the middle of this pandemic, and this is just one example, Mylan shut down its generic lab in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. Joe Manchin decided there was nothing that could be done about this, even though his cousin was had been head of the union for a very long time, and his daughter had been CEO of the thing. Just nothing that could be done. So we're shutting down effective pharmaceutical plants in the middle of a pandemic, rather than saying, well, okay, so you're shutting this one down. We could use a state-of-the-art pharmaceutical plant right about now, as a matter of fact, and we could always use one. We're a sick country, whether we have a pandemic or not. But instead, we just let it sit fallow there.
Yeah, doing a lot of stupid things.
Yes, we are.
Per usual. But it's okay. Only a million people with this illness and hundreds of thousands dying,
but people drowning in their own lungs. No big deal. No rush. Anyway, we'll tell you what's on our radars next.